My first experience when I first joined University of the South Pacific was receiving a scholarship through at the time it was called PPTO, our Personnel Training Office, and then it was Mr. Rangi Tuovera and Videra Maiva, who through their office offered me a scholarship to do a diploma in management in Fiji at the University of the South Pacific. I traveled to Fiji and did those 2 years for a diploma and then came back. When I came back, I started working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That helped me with putting into practice what I had learnt from USP. Thereafter, I went to travel to Australia and did my Bachelor's of Marketing in Australia, and the university, because I had done a diploma, allowed me to accredit 6 courses from my Diploma of Management Studies at the University of the South Pacific towards my degree in Australia. So that actually reduced the time away to 2.5 years, which would normally have taken me 3 years to complete. I came back again and worked at Foreign Affairs, but then at the time we went through transition. So I left government in '96 and I went into the private sector and worked, well, not really private sector, but worked for Cook Islands Development Bank there. But I continued my links with USP by taking courses in industrial relations, managing industrial relations, and then in 2009, USP advertised for the master's program, Masters in Business Administration, offering it in country. And because I didn't want to go overseas again, I was working and had decided to start a family, I thought, why not? This is one way I could get a postgraduate qualification, but staying in the comfort of my own country, being surrounded by my family, and then earning an income at the same time. So I was one of the 35 people who took that course on the Masters of Business Administration. I was surrounded by HOMs, Head of Ministries, but before I started my class, I actually had a conversation with Rod Dixon. He was the Center Director at the time. Rod was the one that persuaded me to take the course because I thought, I don't have the necessary prerequisites to do the Masters of Business Administration. But Rod said, no, I've done my diploma, I've done a bachelor's, this is the step now to do a master's program. Hence, I joined. It was a fantastic program delivered by USP. The HOMs that were in the course at the time, I was in awe of them that through this program they had further elevated themselves by completing the program. I completed the program, then a year later I took on a postgraduate certificate in public administration. I was the Ministry of Health's Human Resources Manager at the time. That helped, with people. You can't know what people are thinking. We all have different values, beliefs, and so by doing these courses at USP through the Masters of Business Administration, the Industrial Relations, and even Public Sector Administration helped me with managing the human resources at the Ministry of Health. We had over 300 staff, and I was the only one in the Human Resources Division, so it was quite a challenge, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working as the sole Human Resources Manager. Thereafter, the opportunity came to lead or be the head of ministry for the Ministry of Agriculture. To me, my qualifications that I earned from the University of the South Pacific has helped me, or even has helped me to apply for this position and be in the position now, because we've never had a head of ministry female for this Ministry of Agriculture. You could say I'm probably the first. It's been a learning experience for me, but what I have learned from my qualifications, what I have learned from the networks that I've managed to secure through my years at USP, and as well as all the years that I've been studying with at USP, it has helped me excel in the position I am now. I actually enjoy my job at the Ministry of Agriculture. I have a small team of 30 people, but we've worked really, really well. We've tried to keep this, because we are small, as like a family unit where we all help each other. But to me, teamwork is key. You bring everyone's skills together and teamwork makes the dream work. Even within this ministry, I am encouraging all my staff to do papers at USP, to do qualifications at USP, because the benefit is not for me, but for themselves. Because these days, potential employers look for qualifications before they recruit people. And so having that piece of paper behind you, betters your chances of getting a good employment. So for our students that are still at school, don't take qualifications as just you'll throw it away. No, they actually stand in good stead for you. Look at what's happened. I am now the Secretary of Agriculture. I've been in this role for the next 2 years. For the last 2 years, I have another year next year to go, and who knows, maybe there's another opportunity that might open up for me that will help me go maybe regional. But to me, you never stop learning. We may be at an age where you think, oh no, we have to stop learning. No, we learn new things every day. I'm still learning new things here at the Ministry of Agriculture, but even education does not stop. So I want to thank the University of the South Pacific, because through their nurturing of my education, the scholarships that I've received, even the funding assistance that I've received from government, has helped me achieve what I have to date. I have one more goal, and that is to do a PhD, and that is one thing that I'm waiting for USP to offer, because I know they're going to offer a doctorate in business administration, and so that's my next goal to achieve.
I did quite well at Te Roro College many years ago. In those days, it only went up to sixth form, and I recall that our the big pass or benchmark for good student performance was a 5-pass university entrance. I was one of only 2 students that got a 5-pass, so I was pretty good. I didn't win any awards, and it didn't bother me at that time that I didn't win awards, but I got the 5-pass. So I went across to New Zealand, and I went to Otago University, a very young, naive, Cook Island young person. And after a year and a half, I failed. So, and I don't look back and say I don't condemn myself. All I do know is, like many young people even nowadays, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to be, and there weren't many supporting mechanisms to help guide me. And in those days, people going to university was very limited. We didn't have a lot of graduates coming back into the workplace or returning at all. So I failed at my first opportunity to go to university. After a couple of years, I did come back to the Cooks, and I became part of the community, and I started to advance through the Ministry of Police, and USP became an institution where I could go back to school and take some courses. I wanted to focus on management because I was a policeman. It's about moving up through the ranks. At the same time, I was studying for a police diploma with Monash University. So I was USP presented an institution that allowed me to go to study. There were some facilities there. A lot of the stuff was not online in those days, but extension studies. We had to wait for the mail, and we had some interesting support from people like John Herman, who was also a school teacher when I was at primary school. So what I noticed was I started score high. I started achieving A's, and I sort of when I think back. At Te Roro College, it wasn't a big deal about scoring A's. I didn't see the importance of excellence. When I started going to USP, I started to realize that I can score A's if I just do my work, do the study, do the prep the exams, and then I walk into the exams. And I was walking out of the exams, sometimes an hour before completion date. So I had a good appreciation for excellence. And then that excellence led to better things. I started scoring A's, and then I got a scholarship. So New Zealand said, look, wonderful, patted me on the back. And I had a chance to fly off to Fiji and study on campus, and everything was fully funded, so excellent. I came back from my first degree. In fact, the first degree I won a gold medal at University of South Pacific. It's a gold medal is something, what would we call it? Well done, excellence. So I got a gold medal. and brought that back, and wonderful. Patted myself on the back, came back into the workplace, and I wanted to keep studying. You know, there's a bit of a momentum there. I'm a mature student, so I signed up to the MBA, and I was the first Cook Islander to do the USP MBA program. And in terms of financing, again, I got a Taiwan scholarship. So I had another scholarship. So again, fees free. I had access to study at minimum cost simply because I'm scoring A's. So I went to USP back for 11 months, intense work, and I found myself there with another Cook Islander, one of the brothers here. So first two Cook Islanders went through on campus through the MBA program with USP, so that was excellent. I did very well, and I picked up a lot of, I'm a generalist, I'm not a professional. Am I a professional? Yes, I used to drive boats, I used to be a policeman, but the MBA was improving my general skills, so I became a manager, a mover, I can make things happen type thing. I did managerial accounting, I did economics, a whole range of things, so a broad skill sets, but I'm not an economist, I'm not an accountant, but I know enough about economics and accounting to get by. I'm certainly not a professional. When I was there, one of my favorite subjects was regional development, which talks about how the region's developing, how small island and developing states are evolving and that sort of thing. And it really, I thought, geez, I love this. This is interesting. This is about how do we grow ourselves as a nation? How does the region grow itself? For some reason, it just resonated with me. So when I came back, I was back in the police force. Shortly after that, I was offered a position with the Ministry of Finance, and I moved across, and I started to do that development work, which is what I was keenly interested in. Then I sort of had a realization of the importance of international relations. How do we deal with development partners? How do we deal with diplomacy? We deal with a multitude of development partners like the Asian Development Bank. I'm increasingly working with the World Bank, despite the fact we're not a member, working with New Zealand, working with China, a whole range of development partners. So I reached out to USP and we set up the first postgraduate diploma in international affairs. And I joined with a bunch of about 25 different young Cook Islanders, and we went through the International Affairs Postgrad Diploma. I think it was about 6 to 8 separate papers that we had to do. And I worked in that cohort with people like Pedro Herman, the head of MFI, Daphne Herman, a whole range of upwardly mobile young Cook Island leaders. So we sat in that, I think, over 12 months and discussed the international affairs, argued, debated, and built a solid network of people who, like myself, are keenly interested in advancing our little country. So that I found that really useful. Not only the fact that I came out with a postgraduate diploma, the fact that it's stuff that I deal with every day, right until now. International affairs, critically important. And I built a good network with similarly minded people who work in the work that I do now.
The major thing that USP did for me was to allow me to work full-time as the CEO of superannuation at the time, work that job, which was demanding in itself full-time, and be able to study my master's in business administration in an environment that was supportive of my career, my family at the time, and I never felt that I couldn't do it. So I think we had Te Vai Matapo at the time, who was our liaison for our cohort, and he really encouraged us to work as a team rather than work as an individual. And for me, going through university, you require some form of discipline, and there's nobody to tell you that you have to be at a certain place all the time, like when you're at school. So for me, university was difficult at times, but with the MBA, because we had a whole cohort of 30 other students doing that program with us, it was more of a family style environment. I've also noticed for me that the MBA has led to a lot of opportunities here locally. It seems to be the recognized qualification for a lot of heads of ministries. So now I'm the Ministry of Internal Affairs. I'm actually working with many of my peers in my fellow ministry heads, USP graduates, and we're in my MBA class. So you have tourism, and you have ICI, NES, Ministry of Culture, they all, even the PSC Commissioner, they're all Masters in Business Administration. And so it's a comfortable environment to work in because we've all got the same values, we've all come from the same teachings. And so I think this is also a valuable part of attending USP, is that you're actually going to work with people that you're going to see again. Whereas if you're going to go overseas, you're still going to make friends for life with your friends from other Pacific Islands and other nations of the world. But when you're working, when you study at USP Cook Islands, you're actually working with your peers, your friends, your family, and they've all got a united mission, I suppose, or vision of serving our people, serving your country, giving back, and staying here, staying home. So I think that's the biggest thing for me with USP. I'm very grateful for the opportunities I had and all the support that I was given, and this is ongoing, so I'm also able to keep contributing to projects like this. As an alumni member, I'm also able to keep participating in these types of events and hearing my fellow peers and watching them progress throughout their careers. I think is also very satisfying for me. Thank you.
My advice for students who are wanting to go on and study long-term, either under scholarship or private funding, is not to discount our universities within the Pacific. The University of the South Pacific, for example, they offer good courses. They can provide you with good lecturers or tutors. Even in the center we have in Rarotonga, they can provide you with tutorial assistance. The University of the South Pacific offers a variety of courses that can match any courses provided by other universities in maybe Australia or New Zealand. I know for a fact that they do accredit courses that you may have taken at other universities towards a qualification taken from the University of the South Pacific. I vouch for that because that's exactly what happened to me when I went to Australia. So for all students who are thinking that maybe the universities in the South Pacific is not an option that you would like to take, I would for you to change your mindset. Use what the opportunities are provided through our University of the South Pacific Centre here in Rarotonga. They can open up a whole world for you to enter into and find out what it is that you wish to study, pursue towards a qualification, and use that in your life.
Look, the future for many of you will remain uncertain. You know, the job market's uncertain. You've had the advent of information technology and artificial intelligence. There's going to be career paths out there that people don't even know now. You're going to have students, how do they step into that future landscape? I think what you need to do is really, I guess students also, they're confused. What are they going to do? But what we can do is stick to the basics, focus on the maths, focus on the English for communications, get into information technology, and then you pair it with good work, excellent work ethics, so good work ethic, productivity, and excellence. And if you put those packages together, you can get yourself ready for moving into this future landscape that is so uncertain.
So some of my advice for those of you that are starting to study or have started this year is to not be discouraged if you find that the topics that you have chosen are not the topics that you enjoy. I remember when I first started university, I was taking law subjects, and then I realized how thick the books were and the readings were. I thought that the book they had given me at the beginning was the only book, and that was only book 1 out of 6. And I love to read, but I don't really love to read that much. And so I quickly changed over to commerce, thinking, okay, I'm going to be a banker. and I did that for a little while, and I finished my studies in that area. But now in real life, I'm working in the social services industry, which is totally different again. So as a student, don't be afraid to make changes. If an area or a discipline is not for you and you want to try something else, don't be afraid to do that. The world has got so many different opportunities, and when you're young, you don't really know what they all are until they unfold themselves. So yeah, don't be discouraged to change your mind if you want to.